I have no time for games.
Welcome, guys. Welcome back. Now, a major patch has just dropped. A lot of stuff has been changed. A lot of stuff has went around, and it's like a lot of nerfs came out. It's weird because nothing was said that there would be a lot of nerfs coming, and a lot of these feel like nerfs. There's a lot of uproar going on about it. But let's get into pretty much what's happening, what's going on, and I want you guys to get an understanding of this patch and what exactly is happening with everything in here. So we're just gonna go through the whole thing from beginning to end, the relevant stuff, the irrelevant stuff. We're just gonna sit down and have a fun time and look this over. I'm sorry, my contacts are kind of drying up, but please bear with me. So let's start off with the Taverns of Time special event. Toki has tangled the timelines. Experience chronological chaos as alternate realities collide in the tavern. Draft 28 special cards unique to the arena. Special Taverns of Time daily quests are award both gold and dust. Tavern of Time begins June 11th, lasts through July 2nd. So, then they have a get in here bundle where this bundle is just a waste of money. It's $7.99 for 2 packs from each set. If you're targeting cards, there's math behind why this particular bundle is atrocious, right? The odds of getting anything you need or anything you want are really low when you spread them across the board like that. And when you spread them across the board like that, depending on when you enter the game, you get less dust for this. I am of the mindset that if I was Blizzard, I would really be dropping the prices on past expansion packs, but they refuse to do so. I actually have a video that I'm actually in the works of, where I pretty much go through these the card prices and why this game is way too expensive than it should be. It's way overpriced, and they really need to address it. And I see here they're kind of trying to put their toe into addressing it, but they're not trying to hurt their bottom line. But it's gonna get to a point soon where they're profiting so much off this card game that they're gonna have to start hurting their bottom line to retain, or not to retain, because they're retaining people, but getting newer blood into the game. It's very difficult for a new player to get into the game. This is kind of the right step forward, but not a big enough step. So I'll say this is like the right tippy toe forward, but this is not a big step actually. So let's get into a free pack. It's going to be a golden pack on June 13th. I feel like these things are skewed. I feel like you're just going to get a bunch of commons and maybe a rare in a golden pack, and it's not going to be a big deal. But that's neither here nor there. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of the issue here. So, continue updates to the game, event timing to make card interactions more intuitive. Read our previous game mechanics update blog for more insight. So I looked up some of the things, and I confirmed that counterspell beats whenever and after triggers. So what this stands for, and tested, what this means is that counterspell now beats whenever, like for example, you summon Arcane Artificer, you Flame Strike, right? You normally still get the armor for that. You'll get 7 armor. Now, you summon Arcane Artificer, you Flame Strike, it gets counterspelled, you're done. Like, no armor, no spell, no nothing. You know what I mean? And little things like any interaction like that, where there's supposed to be a trigger in between, where trigger happens in between. So whenever and after pretty much means whenever and after trigger is one, basically. It's completed. So for example, whenever you cast a spell, okay, so Arcane, sorry, I have to restart it and say it properly. Arcane Artificer is on the field. Whenever a spell is cast, counterspell, right? Counterspell says stop spell, right? And back then it would be, so our Arcane Artificer would say, well, you stopped the spell, but you didn't stop me. But now Counterspell says, whenever Arcane Artificer wants to activate, I'm countering the spell. Before and after activation, basically, is what they're getting at, right? So it's saying, once a duck, always a duck. You know what I mean? You can't be a duck and pretend to be a goose. Like, you know what I mean? So basically, whenever something's supposed to happen, this is going to happen. So here's another example. Summon and play triggers are now evaluated using their enhanced stats before they're affected on the board. For example, Face Manipulator, target the 5 attack minion will no longer advance Jungle Giant, still be considered 3/3. And yes, and I've always found that interaction was extremely awkward, because you would face this Manipulator, a 5 attack minion, and then you would all of a sudden get a quest because it turned into a 5 attack minion. But now, whenever says, whenever this card is summoned, it is a 3/3, right? And now the card is summoned. You summon the card. The quest says, "Is this a 5 attack card?" Arcane. He says, "No, I am originally a 3 attack card." Whenever and after, he was still considered. When he hit the board, he is considered a 5 attack minion. Now it says minions that enter battle without being played from hand will have any whenever or after summon triggers evaluated before board modifiers are applied. For example, Azure Drake coming out. Once again, Azure Drake comes out of like some ability, some thing, whatever from the deck, whatever recruit mechanic you want to think of. Boom, it comes out of the deck. It comes next to a Direwolf. It's now 5 attack. The new mechanic says, did Azure Drake come out? Yes. What attack is Azure Drake whenever he came out? 4. After, is Azure Drake a 5 attack minion? No. Azure Drake is a 4 attack minion. Okay. Done. You do not get the effect. So, that is a big hit to... these are all big hits to Malygos. To Malygos Druid, Malygos Jungle Giant Druid, right? Like, that deck needed to be nerfed anyway. But these are direct nerfs to pretty much... Well, I mean, there's a lot of other cards that get hit by this, but a lot of these are directly hitting Malygos Druid. And then now, for some reason, because they want it to be inconsistent, or I guess because they realize, oh, we kind of hit... we kind of took Face's Manipulator out of Malygos Druid. We kind of took a card out, so they said, choose one minions that transform. Now consider their transformation effects before entering play. So now, playing Shapeshifter, the new Shapeshifter card that's a 5/3 rush, now when you play it, you play it, it hasn't hit the field yet. It says choose one. Do you choose to be a 5 attack minion with, I think it's 3 health? Yes. So then it hits the board. Now the board says, are you a 5 attack minion, Mr. whatever you are that you turned into? And it says, yes, I am a 5 attack minion before I hit the board. Then after says, okay, you can count towards the quest. So I guess now Druids are going to have to... Well, I guess Faceless Manipulator is no longer a thing in Quest Druid, because if you Faceless Manipulator anything, like what people like to do is they like to Faceless Manipulate big threats, they no longer get a benefit from it. So it's pointless. So they're going to need more 5-cost minions, because they'll be relying on only the 5/1 Death Rattle and Fate Spinners. So it's a pretty big hit to Malygos Druid. I don't know what the real point of this change was for consistency's sake, but I digress. Arena updates. Added new several pick buckets for legendary cards, 2 for legendary cards. Basically, roughly, they added new buckets to Arena. I feel like if they balance cards better, then Arena wouldn't be suffering from it being such a shit show. Like, they keep nerfing these cards and hurting and making Arena this wild and crazy place. And I just feel as though, You know, they just need to stop. They need to like start, you know, balancing. Not every month, but every like two months. You know, there's some balance changes out, man. Don't just force people into playing certain arena cards. You know what I mean? Every time. But whatever. When other players with the same hero accept death knights of each other and you want to play, I know Valera has this. Well, at least Valera has it when she comes in to green. I don't know if this means when you right click and say hello, but like when Valera, if you go Valera versus Valera, she goes, you know, watch your back, and the other one goes, I always do. You know what I mean? And I always thought that was a very cool interaction. Maybe they're adding that for everybody. Added the following card back, so those look cool. Logging in after new season begins will now correctly display on the latest season results. That's cool. Kingsbane that has been transformed into a different legendary by Prince Liam will no longer retain buffs. There's a lot of nerfs to Kingsbane. So what this is Prince Liam changes all one cost minions in your deck into random legendaries. Kingsbane is a one cost card. It gets transformed. So I'm guessing they're saying a Kingsbane that has been transformed into a different legendary by Prince Liam. So I guess if a Kingsbane gets transformed into a Kingsbane, it no longer retains buffs. Okay. So I guess people were getting... I guess there's a world out there where a thief rogue stole a Talium, whatever his name, Liam. He played Liam, and the Kingsbane turned into a Kingsbane and kept all the buffs. Okay. As Kingsbane is destroyed when its death rattle triggers, Rummaging Cobalt will no longer retrieve it. This is kind of peculiar to me because the Kingsbane death rattle says when this card is destroyed, shuffle it into the deck. So why would Rummaging Cobalt not retrieve it? I don't understand. I guess they're saying Kingsbane lives in a limbo, but whatever. I don't agree with that. Okay, but whatever. Spellbender will no longer trigger Rat Trap or Hidden Wisdom when it triggers. Oh, I see. Spellbender is the mage spell that when you cast something. Okay, I see. So I guess it was triggering an effect for Rat Trap and Hidden Wisdom, which is fine. So it shouldn't have done that. That's a pretty good fix. Rat Trap no longer triggers when your board is full. I like that. It makes it so you don't waste your Rat Trap on nothing. Voodoo Doll and other death rattles now correctly trigger Join Defile. There are some times where I've seen Voodoo Dolls act funky for defiles, like where Defile will go off. It'll count the enemy minion as like the file will go off, and it would, like, let's say you voodoo doll something, right, and the file goes off. The file kills the voodoo doll, which in turn is supposed to kill the minion, the other minion across the board, but the minion is considered like one. So like sometimes it'll trigger like twice, if that makes sense. Like I've seen it happen once and it was really strange to me, where it would just trigger and trigger again. I'm guessing that's what they're talking about. I don't really run Voodoo Doll in Warlock much to really see this interaction that often. Shadow Reflection now appears correctly when transformed into a spell. Okay, that's just a fix. A zombie crafted out of Vicious Scale had an explosive blow bat. Will no longer trigger its death rattle animation when it's played. That must have been pretty cool. I didn't know that was a thing. Tess Grayman will now replay hero cards with her battle cry. That's cool. Tess Grayman battle cry is now limited to 30 cards. That's a nerf, and will stop if she sounds killed, transformed, leaves the battlefield, or if any hero dies. Huh. So they gave her the Yogg-Saron nerf treatment. Lanessa Sun Sorrow's battle card is now limited to 30 cards. Okay, cast the buffs in a random order. That's not good, but okay. I mean, because back then, because I played a lot of Lanessa, and Lanessa plays in order from the cards so you can kind of like I've been trying to make this Paladin deck work for like a week now, and I fail every time because it's so bad. But anyhow, Lanessa's Sun Sour's battle card will now include the effects of choose one card. Lanessa's Sun Sorrow's battle card will now include the effects of choose one cards. Is there any choose one buff cards? I'm trying to think if there's any choose one buff cards. Lanessa's Sun Sorrow. Interesting. I can't think of any choose one cards that are buffs that would include Lanessa's Sun Sorrow, but I guess if there are any, she includes it. If there are any choose one buffs out there, she includes it, so whatever. Leyline Manipulator now correctly reduces the cost of cards created by Golden Cobalt. Oh, Golden Cobalt in Wild. I haven't seen that thing in a while. Okay, yeah. So okay, so I guess it wasn't reducing those cards. They fixed that. That's a fix. Effigy triggered by Guild Mountain Giants now probably sounds, which it should have. Night Prowl now has a yellow glow when no main battlefield. It should have. King Tawa will now swap decks without burning cards. Well, I don't play King Tawa, so I don't know. Transform effects such as Throw Out Death Seer will no longer activate some triggers like Starving Buzzard and Blubber Baron. That is pretty big. You know, that's a pretty big deal for a lot of the for like Evolve, the max, not the board one, the one Unstable Evolution that you play. And then there's a bunch of monsters. So Shawshank now correctly counts minions that have taken damage equal. After time, no longer resets infinite Toki's health to full when played by a player. Oh man, that's a pretty big nerf. Frostmourne will now correctly summon minions that it destroys before using Toki's temporal loop power when it's death. Okay. Pillars of Fallen Treasure now triggered Sword of Justice for the last bit. Okay, whatever. So I really want to just kind of go back and harp on the nerfs here, right? What I don't understand is, you know, okay, so you nerf Test Greymane. This is a direct nerf to Test Greymane, Quest Hunter, and Lanessa not so much. But Shudderwalk is still the same, right? I believe Shudderwalk. I don't know. I don't think Shudderwalk's limited to 30 battle cries, to 30 cards. And on top of that, Shudderwalk, when it leaves the field, in my opinion, when Shudderwalk leaves the field or copies itself, it should stop or something. Because this infinite loop is ridiculous with Shudderwalk Shaman right now. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's unfun and it's uninteractive to play against. And they're not addressing that. But then they're addressing these things in supposed bug fixes, right? These are nerfs. These are actual nerfs to 3 deck archetypes. Like direct nerfs to Lanessa, Tess, and the Jungle Giants, Quest Hunter. And there is no compensation being given for it. You know, there's nothing happening for it. They're just like, hey man, these are fixes, whatever. Now, I feel as though, you know, these things should have been explained more. I feel like they have a lot of explaining to do, you know, especially with the Lanessa, especially with this many amount of game changes in the gameplay. There's going to be a lot of people who aren't going to look into this patch notes and realize, you know, how different things are when they start playing. They're just going to see interactions that don't make any sense and go like, wait, I thought this used to work, and then no, it doesn't work, and they're gonna be very confused. And I don't feel they did a good. And the thing about it is when you open up the client, it doesn't even fully explain these. You have to actually go to the website. On the client, it just kind of mentions, oh, blah blah blah. We changed a few things, but when you go to the actual website, it's like, oh my goodness, what happened? You know, and I feel as though that is I feel as though Blizzard has some explaining to do, because Test Greymane is now significantly worse. Lanessa is now significantly worse. Malagos Druid is definitely worse, because, you know, the Faces Manipulator was like the biggest backup play that deck had a lot of the times, and a lot of these changes to the in out, to the whatever, wherever and after mechanics, those are huge. People are gonna lose some games who haven't really read this patch properly, right? They're gonna summon an Arcane Artificer. They're gonna go for that juicy. Even if it gets counterspell, I still got bling. You're gonna get counterspell. They're gonna. Where's my armor? You know, and that's gonna be a big deal. You know, that's gonna be. There's gonna be some salty players coming up in the future. But that's it. These are the patch notes. Let me know what you guys think. I think that Blizzard really needs to address this. They need to talk to us, man, because these aren't minor shakeups. These are pretty big shakeups to already terrible decks. Not only terrible decks, but they're shakeup to already terrible fun decks. Like, these are the fun decks that people were trying to play in a meta where fun is just not really allowed in this meta. You know, we have a lot of variety. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of variety right now. But that doesn't mean the meta is not polarizing right now for any other decks other than the top 10 meta decks right now, which is great. This is probably the best state Hearthstone has been in a long time. You know, there's a lot of decks, there's a lot of diversity, there's a lot of variety, but the diversity and variety that is there leaves no room for anything else, which is fine. You know, you can't expect the card game to include anything else, but when you nerf the fun decks that were already supposed to be just for the fun, just for the lulz, I mean, that's, I don't know, man. That's a dicey one, but whatever. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. Please join my Twitch and join my Twitter on the bottom below. Talk to me if anything comes out. I try to post videos at least 5 times a week. And you guys have a wonderful day and keep playing.